And we're live.
Got a couple
beverage over there.
Yeah, it's Juice Jolt.
Ooh, sounds good.
Extra juicy IPA. Honestly, I don't care for it. I mean, I like it. The first couple sips are good, and then it just starts to taste like I didn't want an orange drink, you know.
Gotcha.
But it's tasty. It doesn't taste bad. It's just not
right.
Not great. Not great, Bob. I got a couple of I added some things to the soundboard from I guess if anybody who's listening to this part, because we're in the secret track now, you know about the show we did last night with Mike Burns. But here's Alan out of context.
I was looking at some dad boner stuff earlier.
I feel like that takes explaining.
Ultimate load.
We eat PS, we inhale PS, we rub it on our skin.
That one makes me laugh so much.
I love that one.
Yeah. I think this one will get a lot of play. I should probably put that in the end of show clip right before the real dog bark. Here, let me do that really quick.
That's Hillary, right?
That is good job, Alan. It's not a dog. Yeah. End of show, and then let me open. Okay, should I not do this right now? Hillary barking. Well, that's my only Hillary clip. Can't be. All right, we'll copy that. Just this part. Arf, arf, arf. And then we'll go back over there. And then it's like a spike, right? When the dog goes, yip.
Oh. So what in the world is this? Is Kevin McCarthy a moron, and if so, why?
Why would you say something that stupid?
I come without explanations or solutions.
I'm a very sexy lady, cat turd. I will not suffer this harlot. How great an anti-American Marxist.
I think it's a. Did I start like right after it here?
When a guy's banging you,
y'all let me in his damn house.
Oh, how about that?
Come in the name of peace. LMFAO. So what in the world is this?
Where's the dog bark?
Is McCarthy a moron, and if so, why?
Why would you say
or solutions?
I'm a very sexy, not suffer American Marxist.
Ted Cruz, go fuck yourself.
Oh, right there.
No, right there.
Yourself.
It should be before that though.
Yourself.
So I think it's this. Yeah. Okay, let's see how this sounds.
American Marxist.
Ted Cruz, go fuck yourself.
read the news?
Okay, that was worth it.
Yeah,
that was worth it.
Oh, that's good. Oh, this is still podcasting. Okay, let me save this as man, I've got it as 1.9.9. Should I start doing the points again, or just call it end of show montage 2? It's not 2. It's still the same one. It's still a revision of the
right.
So I'm going to do what 1.9
1.
0.1. Why not?
There you go.
That'll be confusing. There's a whole system. I was talking to Natasha, and she was like, because we were trying to figure out what we're going to do during the wedding, the week of after our wedding, and I was like, well, we'll probably just bank up a couple of shows, maybe release the Patreon ones. And she's like, well, do you want Alan to do a show? I'm like, I don't think he knows how to edit. Like, I think you could learn. Don't get me wrong, but like, first time we edited, it was a fucking chore.
Yeah,
and that's like, I mean, that'll be like a 5-hour project for you the first time,
right?
So
right.
I was like, I wouldn't even know how to tell you how all these things have different names. Like the dung dung at the beginning of the show, that's called stinger number 5. Like, you wouldn't know that.
There's no way I would know that.
All my clips folder to find that, you know.
I guess I could do a show that was no frills.
Sure.
I mean, just add on the intro and the outro.
That's a good point. We have a very frilly show. I appreciate that.
So this show tends to be a little bit less.
Sure.
So I mean, I could just do some shows like that.
Hit
record. I could probably.
We don't have to do this, so I don't have to worry about that.
Sure.
Unless
I could do a show with Cody.
People want a Dustin-free episode with Alan and Cody. That'd be kind of fun.
I could do a show with Cody.
Less interrupting. That's me. That was me. Speaking of loud noises,
you vote for somebody else, that's a vote for Trump. Vote for Biden.
It's not very clean.
I know.
Vote for somebody else. That's a vote for Trump. Vote for Biden.
I saw Mima's post. It was pretty
Yeah,
funny.
yeah, he shared that. Yeah, he was on a
Yeah.
tear today, man.
Yeah.
I was liking that.
was
That's
good
all
stuff.
I got from last week's clip. I got a bunch of other stuff though. Nameless sent this in. We could do some comedy on our
Sure.
secret track. So this is from Nameless. Like I said, it's like a veterans joke. I don't know who the actual comedian is. Oh, Eric Knowles comedy.
I got in trouble the first morning of boot camp, the first wake up. I was the first recruit in trouble. I wasn't even awake good. I didn't know what the hell was going on. He was mad because I had a boner. You know? Then banging a trash can, like, get up and get out of bed. I just jumped up, like, here we go. Son of a bitch. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, fuck it, I'll just stick it out there, I guess. Yeah. Dude was pissed. It's like he took offense to it, like I was doing it on purpose. Like, took him right out of his little prepared speech. You know? He's coming down the line like, today is day 1 of Marine Corps boot camp. Today we will begin to instill in you a sense of what the f is this right here?
So it's part of a whole story, I guess.
That's pretty funny.
It is pretty funny.
I like the animation as well.
Yeah, I did too. This is Cat Williams on somebody's podcast. I don't know who the celebrity is he's talking shit with, but we're big Cat Williams fans ever since he went on Shannon Sharp's podcast.
You probably shouldn't talk about sizes.
No, that's okay.
You big on the radio.
That's right. And you're big
Turn
in
it
prison.
down.
And you're
Yes,
big in
ma'am.
prison.
I've never been to prison.
You have
19
several
felonies,
times.
no convictions.
Yeah,
Knock it
yeah.
off. Prison and jail aren't the same. No.
Okay,
No.
okay.
No.
Calm
No.
down, calm down.
Only one of us has
Calm
$12
down.
worth of jewelry on. No.
No $12.
What does the $12 worth of jewelry mean?
I think he's making fun of her jewelry, saying it's fake.
I don't know, what does that have to do with him going to prison? Him going to jail. I do appreciate that. People don't distinguish that enough. They're like, oh yeah, prison for like 60 days. It's like, that's not prison. That's jail.
No, that's jail. Yeah,
It's different. You know? The fun part is when they can't fit any people in the prisons anymore, so they keep super violent people in the jail for a long period of time, and then I go and work on their kitchens, and I'm like, yeah, you can't tell me that there aren't fucking psychos in here, man. Not that I work in kitchens or anything like that. What's wrong?
Sure.
You
You wouldn't do that.
At times people have been like, maybe you should do like birthday shout outs on the show or like things. And there's a reason why we don't do that.
And happy birthday to Nick Gurr, if you're watching. Someone in chat wants me to say that. Happy birthday, Nick Gurr.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
And,
How did she not notice the first
I
time?
don't know, but I isolated it. I don't know if it'll get a lot of play, but
Nick Gurr. Nick Gurr.
it's the guy's name. It's like Gerr probably.
Right.
That guy's going through his whole life just causing problems.
Just, yeah. Attendance in elementary school, like it was always a thing.
This says 20 years, no alcohol.
So a 20-year-old can't have alcohol, but a 5-year-old can pick their gender?
I agree, but we should lower the drinking age to 5 for real.
I've been saying it for years. Who sent this? I don't know who sent this. This is I won't spoil what the song's about.
And I said goodbye to the circumference of my rod. There's only one skin, 2 skin, 3 skin. Where's my foreskin tonight?
That's you get an open mic, man.
That's very good.
Yeah. I have Biden talking shit to Trump. This was today or yesterday.
Okay.
Then I have another silly one. I got a few silly ones. I got worried I wasn't recording.
Donald Trump still thinks windmills cause cancer.
Does
Just do the cross?
Yeah, he does the cross. It's like that went over well once, like 3 months ago, and he's like, "I'll keep doing that." Plus, I think he's trying to like keep the Catholic vote or something.
Sure,
right?
sure.
Remember, I'm Catholic. They call themselves
Don't
Christians.
forget.
I'll draw the cross at speeches.
That's what he said. By the way, remember when he was trying to deal with COVID, he said, just inject a little bleach in your veins. He missed it. All went to his hair.
Wow.
Okay, Pee-wee liked it.
Some speechwriter is really happy they got that joke in there.
Really proud of themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
This only works with the sight gag, so this is definitely a pre-show thing. So here's a lady on Maury. Maury was such a jerk. Like this is such a great version of Maury being a jerk. So he's like, he has these people on with strange phobias, right? Like the tinfoil lady and stuff like that. This lady's afraid of green olives. You're not going to be able to hear her talk. Basically, what she's saying is like when her grandpa died, either he sat up in his casket or she thought he did, and his eyes were green, so she doesn't like green olives because they look like his green eyes. Okay, that's enough. That's enough background. Here's the clip.
Why olives?
Because they remind me of dead people.
Why do they remind you of dead?
My grandpa sat up in his coffin and looked at me and he died.
And so
I think a lot of these people are actors. I don't think this person's acting. I think they found someone.
Yeah.
Like borderline mental disability and irrational fear of
Looked up at you when he died?
With green eyes.
With green eyes?
With a black in them.
How old were you when this happened? 7. And you really believe that your grandfather came right up out of his coffin and he had green eyes? And ever since then, you've been scared of olives?
So what do you think they're going to do, Alan?
They're going to show her olives.
Mary, you won't let go of me.
Oh, yeah.
Bring out the olives.
She sounds like Nancy Kerrigan.
Right.
You vote for somebody else, that's a vote for Trump.
Wow.
That guy sounds like a goat, doesn't he?
A little bit, yeah.
Bye. Are you in here prank call?
Sure.
I think Thrash sent this in.
Parking.
Hey, honey, it's Sue. Is this Scott? Yeah. I just wanted to say I was the one that took a shit out there in parking lot B4. And I'm so sorry. I'm a lot lizard, and I was servicing a man, and he put his finger in my I just had to defecate right there. And I'm so sorry. I didn't know what to do with it. Are you okay? Are you croaking out on me, honey?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, say all that again.
All I said was I'm a lot lizard.
They put you on speaker.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
I was out there with one of them truckers in the parking lot B4, and he put his finger in my ass, and I had to defecate so bad. So I got out and shat there, and I didn't clean it up, and I'm sorry.
That's all. Do I hang up?
Can I hang up?
That's hilarious.
Can I hang up? Man, is this how the show was when I didn't play buttons in between?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's a long time ago, dude.
It was a long time ago. Hey, if you like prank calls, you're going to love Mike Burns' interview.
Yeah. Oh, God. That's so
dude. He's just so like, he's like a top. You just set him there and he's
he
funny.
Has so much, and he has so much to go on too.
Yeah.
And all those years of improv explain so much of Carl,
yeah,
owner and everything
for sure.
Like,
for
oh
sure.
yeah, this was just like and sketch writing.
Yeah, essentially, it was his ability to inhabit a character.
Yeah,
he didn't have to write a story arc because he was the story arc. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was incredible.
Incredible
talent.
You know, I meant to play a clip on the Big Show, but I think I'm gonna save it for next week. Let me put it there now so I don't forget. I think it goes well in the Culture Wars. I meant to play it. Did you see it? I saw it early last week, and I just did the thing where I copied it and then went to paste it, and I got a notification, and I didn't get around to it. That preacher talking about like politics and religion. If you haven't seen it, that's great. If you see it,
I don't think I've seen it. I don't think I've seen it.
Don't cheat on the show, Alan.
Okay. All right. Got it.
You want to hear a clip about a Yankee transplant? We got that. We got a bit going here. I mean, I think I'd like to do at least another 10 minutes of Secret track. Well, I've teased it. Let's do the Yankee transplant.
Transplant to the South. At what point did you realize I live in the South now? Because for me, it was in 2018 when I was driving from Idaho to South Carolina, and I was spending the last night on the road, and I woke up in Kentucky, and I was sitting at the hotel breakfast where they unironically served biscuits and gravy.
I can't tell you how much that infuriates me.
Yeah.
Just the like smug, undeserving like sense of arrogance, just to be like they unironically serve biscuits and gravy. Like, what are you fucking talking about? Like, yeah, you're right that like, wow, that's a fucking meme. Like, I have biscuits and gravy if they don't have bacon, or sometimes when they do have bacon at the college I work at. Sometimes if they don't have bacon in the cafeteria, I almost always get at least biscuits and gravy and something. Like, and it's just like one biscuit. There's a ladle, put some gravy on it. Like, why would I
love
not
biscuits
have
and
that?
gravy.
Yeah, yeah.
My favorite thing.
Unironically, like, oh, you.
My
And the
dad's a
table
huge
next-
biscuits and gravy guy.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's condescending, right? Like,
It is. I've been eating it since I was
unironically
a kid.
biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, it's a bit.
I'm trying to be funny about it, and I can't because it's just making me mad. Sorry, it's not conducive to the comedy.
Me was two women discussing original sin. And I thought, well, dag nabbit, I am in the South now, aren't I?
I don't mind the dag nabbit. Oh, dag nabbit, I am in the South now.
It's funny. Thrash texted me the other day. Trying to find it real quick.
Who do you think sent that?
Oh, Thrash, 100%. In fact, he might have sent me that too. What did he say though? He was like, where is it? God damn it. Oh, he did. Now I understand the connotation of these words from my mouth, but do we really have to consider Yankees people?
It's like me when I talk about Flint. I'm like, why they're still in Flint? At what point do you have like do we have to keep caring about them? Like you've done this to yourself at this point.
Indeed.
You've had plenty of chances to move from Flint, you know, and then you get it down to a couple hundred people and you help them, you know, but just, you know, most of you guys can get out of there. Go be poor somewhere else. I mean that as I'm sympathetic to the being poor part, but be poor. You could be poor anywhere and you choose Flint. Like, okay, maybe you can't be poor anywhere, but you could be poor a lot of other places exactly like Flint.
Sounds like a Daniel Tosh, like 2012-ish rant.
See, I'm not trying to sound.
I know.
Like, in fact, like that I get cringe thinking about that, but I feel like I'm making a logical statement.
You are. I could see how it could be perceived differently, though. But we're on the secret track. We're among friends.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Actually, even when we're not on the secret track, we're among friends.
We're always among friends here.
We're always among friends.
This is the proof of what I was talking about with the
oh yeah, Mima.
Freedom, what is it? Floor Action Response Team.
Mm-hmm.
They
The
fart.
Mommy Bobert.
want those bills to pass by unanimous consent. So myself and other members of the House Freedom Caucus, we have a floor action response team, FART. I'm a mother of 4 boys. I could appreciate that.
I do love that.
Mother Bobert.
I get fart humor because I'm a mother of 4 boys. Clearly.
We're going to make it smelly for them. She said that.
She did say that. Yeah.
Here is, I mean, should we give them a hard time if they're actually having a sense of humor?
I suppose not.
I mean, they're doing it to themselves.
They are doing it to themselves.
Okay, then I'll just laugh. If that's what you want,
Yeah.
I will laugh.
I mean, yeah. You make a funny joke.
I do that type of humor all the time. It's like, no, it's okay that you're laughing at me. That's in fact, I'm fine with that. Yeah, you're not bugging me at all.
Yeah.
Bob sent this in. This is Woodpecker. I think Bob sent this in. This is a Woodpecker. Just confused. He found an apparatus on a. Oh, Natasha listens to the show on speakerphone.
Really?
Yeah, the dogs are going wild right now. Look at this Woodpecker. I've played it 3 times now just to get in trouble.
It's having the time of its life.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes it's fun to get yourself in trouble, Alan.
Sometimes.
Speaking of which, here is the he's the bite dance guy, right? He works for
TikTok.
TikTok, yeah. We don't have any TikTok in the headlines, do we?
I don't think so.
We talked about it already.
Yeah, we did.
So this is I didn't see this clip originally during this hearing.
China created brain rot to dominate U.S. citizens?
No, Senator.
Have you ever practiced edging streaks in China?
Senator, I served my nation in Singapore. No, I did not.
So you only did edging streaks in Singapore?
Yes, and I served my military for two and a half years in
Do you
Singapore.
have any other brain rot social media we don't know?
No, Senator.
So you're the Singaporean Quandale Dingle King of brain rot?
That's correct.
Do you intend to be the new king of Ohio?
No, not
Quandale
yet.
Dingle King. Okay.
Have you ever joked with the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, I'm Singaporean. No.
Have you ever been associated with the Chinese edging army?
No, Senator. Again, I'm Singaporean.
It's a very simple question that unites both parties in our country. Let me ask you this. Joe Biden last year said that Xi Jinping was a Rizzler. Do you agree with Joe Biden that Xi Jinping is a Rizzler?
Even though I don't like him, I'll have to agree. Xi Jinping is a Rizzler.
Me and the boys are edgy.
That's weird. I now understand Gen Z slang when I hear it, but it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
It's like new music. You're like, okay, I get it. I know that it's sound.
Indeed.
Do you want to talk about, do you have anything about Trump's immunity? Yeah, you have that.
Yeah, I do. It's
Okay.
actually the
Well,
first
then
thing.
we'll just talk about it then. Do you have any? Oh, that's part of it. Do you have? So Kagan asked, well, can I play this in the pre-show? Or
Yeah,
people
do
have heard it already. People have heard it already. Kagan asked if, so what's the context of that? Well, we'll just talk about it there. We'll talk about it there.
Okay. All right.
I don't think you have anything about Israel, do you? I didn't see anything, so I put this clip up here.
All right, go ahead.
I got a good chunk here of 3 clips. So the students at Columbia, and it's spreading everywhere. This was like a man on the street asking a pro-Palestinian protester what the details were of what they're asking for. And maybe they just got the dumb one, right? Like at the Trump rallies.
What would you say is the main goal with tonight's protest?
I think the goal is just showing our support for Palestine and demanding that NYU stops. I honestly don't know all of what NYU's doing.
Is there something that NYU's doing?
I really don't know. I'm pretty sure they're... Do you know what NYU's doing? About what? About Israel. Why are we protesting here?
Palestine will be free!
I wish I was more educated. I'm not either.
Oh.
I came from Columbia. I was there up at Columbia and we came down. They said NYU students needed our support. So I came down. I heard there's lots of cops. Some people were saying it was getting dangerous.
And what?
Crisis actor, Alan.
Jesus.
Probably. Yeah, I know.
I mean, I get it. You got swept up in the fervor or whatever, but god damn it.
I mean, it is odd still to me that the people get swept up into that fervor in that exact manner and not consistently with other things. And it kind of, I mean, I ranted about it last week where I said, you know, we're all a result of the inputs that we receive, and we're getting more inputs about this subject than other. I mean, the largest internal refugee, the country dealing with the largest population of internal refugees is Sudan right now. And like we talk
internally
about
displaced people.
Yeah. Is that what that's the same thing, right?
Yeah, that's just the term. It's IDP is the term. For
Oh, okay. Oh, there's a phrase for it.
Yeah.
Which isn't to equate. So the reason I equate it is just to say that, like, before all this, half of what we talk about when we talk about Israel is rise in anti-Semitism and online circles. And, you know, I'm in some meme groups and some of them don't, but there's 1 or 2 that do. And you're just like, okay, well, I get it. That matches with what we're saying is happening. So it's not made up. It might be exaggerated, but it's not made up.
No, it exists for sure.
Yeah. And then to like know that as the context and then still be like, well, I don't really know anything about this, but fuck the police, which I'm on board for.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Like, It's what I mean. I think the first week after October 7th, I was like, everybody's going to rush to their clean-cut response statement about all of this. And just anybody who has like a good understanding of the history of that region knows that the one thing you can't have is a clean opinion on this. Like, it's just not possible to. It's comfortable to distill it down to one statement, but it's not.
Yeah, there's so much history there. It's just, I mean, yeah, it goes pretty deep.
I mean, at this point, you almost need to genocide one of them to get rid of the whole problem, And the Jews already went through theirs. So, I mean, it's probably only appropriate that Israel already got a head start. So Israel should just finish with that. And then it would be unfair if you didn't also clean out the other side too,
Sure.
Because otherwise people would say it's favoritism, right?
Right. So we just need to
return it to the land. It's a numeric, like globally, we're talking about a handful of fucking people with like a Hatfield and McCoy, goddamn talk, Dustin.
McCoy.
A Hatfield and McCoy blood feud going, and it's just like this is an outsized effect on the planet,
There's an outsized reaction to it by the public generally.
Not just that. I mean, I also mean its effect on like everybody else is getting very upset over like you two.
Sure.
Who are people and individuals, and the suffering's horrible, and don't.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I mean, look at places like Sudan, look at places like Ukraine, look at places like all those countries in North Africa, Chad, Burkina Faso, Niger, having the military coups, Congo, Myanmar. I mean, there's conflict all over the fucking place that just gets completely ignored by the public and the media, and just generally, it's just not even. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Or
I get it. They don't like seeing the government give a bunch of money to Israel. I don't either. Like that's where our argument becomes complex.
Well, and I mean, so if she were informed, she would say that NYU's endowment being invested in companies that.
So it's funny you should say that, because that's what shut me up while me and you were beefing last episode.
Okay.
They want divestment, but like, it's not like they have a bunch of Raytheon stock. They have index funds and ETFs.
Sure.
So the students essentially want a certification that the ETFs and index funds are Israel free.
Mm-hmm.
But do you expect them to sell what they have and their assets right now? Like, that's not a good thing either.
You lose money.
Yeah. And like,
I understand that.
But they don't understand that though.
They don't understand that.
They don't know what they're even fucking asking for. And it just continues to make them look, rude isn't the strong enough word for it, but they're being very rude. And they keep using free speech in a way that I don't think that they know what that
Well, also a lot of these protests has evolved into violence.
Yeah.
A lot of things. There's been a lot of issues.
Well,
I mean,
one of
we have a story
in Texas. The cops just like straight up tackled the cameraman. Like, that's way out of line.
Oh yeah, they came in full riot gear at that one. You're talking about UT? Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a story in the headline show about Google, and employees there upset about Google's participation.
Oh, like a
in the
whole team
cloud.
just got fired, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's similarly like, how do you expect a multinational company like Google to really, remove themselves from that entirely? It's almost impossible. I get that, but I also understand people wanting to protest and thinking that what Israel's doing in Gaza is absolutely
100%.
horrific.
I mean, I do too. I do too. But
but there's ways to do that, and I mean, it doesn't involve like tying yourself to a copy machine in an office. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
I mean, I don't even hate that.
I think that's not as effective.
It's not going to do anything though, right?
Yeah,
It's like the people that block traffic on the bridge. It's like,
sure.
Yeah. Why don't you go light yourself on fire? Oh, sorry. No, okay, I mean that in the context of that
I
didn't
understand.
do anything. What more can you do? Like, if that's not doing anything, then
If that's not going to do it, then there's nothing to flip that switch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving me a second chance there, bud. Do you want to hear some more footage from live on the campuses?
Sure.
In my country there is problem, and that problem is the Jew.
God.
They take everybody money. They never give it back. Throw the Jew down the well, so my country can be free. You must grab him by his horns. Then we have a big party.
Dude, was that in the movie or was that in the outtakes?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
not
I
sure.
remember hearing that phrase, not,
Right.
was either from Borat or was that one of those Tuesday meetings before we started doing the show? I knew any fucking better. I'd hit the fucking button right there. Instead, you know what? I'm doing it.
We're still in the secret track.
Yeah, but I think the secret track works when you come into it right into the show.
Yeah, for sure.
We're gonna start the show with throw to the Jew down the well. That's what we're gonna start the goddamn show with.
Perhaps.
As soon as I hit this button, we're in for it. You're gonna tell me not to?
You know what? Fuck it.
Don't let me in this damn house.
Should we hit record?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. All right, you ready?
I am ready. Are you recording?
Yes. All right. Well, you want to start a show?
Let's start a show.
That podcast is filling your head with garbage.
No offense taken there.
Well, it sounds like none taken. To the Friday Headlines Roundup edition of None Taken, where every week my good friend Alan wrangles up the headlines from all over the internet and we talk them at you. Because I listen to 13 hours of podcasts a day and Alan watches 3 hours of cable news, so you don't have to. And now, get ready to take a sledgehammer to the culture war echo chambers. But not before this.
So, another Friday is upon us. What will you be doing, Smithers? Something gay, no doubt. What? You know, lighthearted, fancy-free. Mothers, lock up your daughters. Smithers is on the town.
Exactly, sir.
Exactly, sir. Head on over to nonetakenpod.com. So we got all the links in one spot for you. So you don't have to remember preownedbuttplugs.com, funfulnonetakens.com, trumpgags.com anymore. Who knows where those take you? You go to nonetakenpod.com, your one-stop shop for all things show. You get your merch there. You can join the Patreon there. And there was another thing. I don't know. You can go to slickitsdigital.com there for all your SEO and marketing needs.
Hell yeah.
You want to tell the fellas about the Patreon?
Hell yeah. So join the Patreon over there. You get full...
Sorry, fellas and 3 ladies.
Join the Patreon. You get full unedited videos of every episode. You get early access to interviews like we did yesterday with comedian Mike Burns. You get you get a secret track in front of every show. We do a special secret track just for the Patreon listeners. 20-30 minutes of clips that maybe wouldn't make its way onto the main show. But it's fun. It's a good time.
We
over
started
there.
Today with that. So
it's a good time over there. Get to that Patreon.
We do a timely show. So like we do a show that like, it's about the news. So if you like the other stuff that we do and you want more of it, the first like 20 minutes of all of the old shows are secret tracks. So you can go back there and just be like, oh, I've heard the show already, but I haven't heard the first 20 minutes. Get you a little bit more. And it's mostly timeless stuff there. It's evergreen, as we say it.
Yes, in the biz.
In the biz, because we are professionals. Just like that intro. What a great intro, Alan.
Yeah, that's what we do here at None Taken.
How have you been
Friday.
Since yesterday? I've seen you every day this week.
I know. Happy Friday, everybody. The weekend's here. Have a can of beer. We made it to another weekend, y'all. Let's go.
Gonna see some fucking vampire cowboy honky tonk tomorrow night.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
It's gonna be great. It's over at D's. Guys, if
Nice.
you're in town, come see me at D's any Friday.
Hell yeah. Meet up with Dustin.
Maybe not every Friday.
On Friday.
Text me first.
All right. Well, shall we get into some headlines? All right. So I'll hit this first one here. This one I actually added. This is from the New York Times today. Justices seem ready to limit the 2020 election case against Trump. So the Supreme Court heard oral arguments in the presidential immunity case that was sent to them, or they decided to pick up. Most legal experts I had read going into this agreed that the appellate court had done a really good job with their ruling on this matter, that it was a very fair ruling, that it was a bipartisan, essentially. You had justices from every part of the political spectrum weighing in there, and it was a reasonable decision. And also, to the counter of that, if you are going to say that presidential immunity is 100% and applies whether you're in office or not, whether you're doing presidential acts or not, that's just chaos. There's no way that that could be possibly an outcome from this. So the oral arguments happened today, and usually you can sort of anticipate a little bit based on the questioning that the judges pursue as to what the outcome might be. I gotta admit, man, I was a little surprised by some of the arguments they were seeming willing to entertain, and also the fact that they completely ignored. They essentially were, well, the conservative side at least, they seem to be very concerned about, what this could, the implications of this down the road, as opposed to this certain case, the specific case, right? So they were willing to entertain,
Which is the nature of the Supreme Court.
Sure, but they were asking questions like, well, if the president orders SEAL Team 6 to take out a political opponent, is that okay? And the attorney on the Trump side was like, well, I mean, probably.
Said if he gets impeached and through the Senate.
Right. And he was like, well, I mean, probably. That's, we'd have to see the actual case.
Unless he got impeached by the Senate, in which case then he wouldn't be immune.
Right.
So the only body on earth that can decide a president's fate is the House and Senate.
It's so just...
or the current president at the time, pardoning
conservatives like to talk about the Constitution and the founding fathers, and it's like, do you understand the founding of this country was
they do. You shouldn't conflate conservatives.
We didn't want a king. No, but what I'm saying is that the very same people that would make that argument would also say that Trump should be immune. I mean, I don't. It's mind blowing. Alito, let me just read you an Alito question. He says, if an incumbent who loses a very close, hotly contested election knows that a real possibility after leaving office is not that the president is going to be able to go off into a peaceful retirement, but that the president may be criminally prosecuted by a bitter political opponent, will that not lead us into a cycle that destabilizes the functioning of our country as a democracy? It's like he's turning the argument upside down and saying, this is what's bad for democracy, not the opposite. It's mind-blowing to me.
I know, and I think the historical argument is Republican Rome, but it wasn't the same structure as what we have.
Sure.
And so the argument was like, Caesar was like, I can't be out of power, otherwise I'll be sued to death or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was lucky he won the election that got him in, and that set him down his course. In broad strokes.
Sure.
But the argument for Trump is that was why he tried to stay in power, because he knew that he would be held liable for what he did because there wasn't immunity. And then you look at Ford and Nixon, why on earth did he pardon Nixon? How is the court going to justify that? You got sneaky little answers for if they get convicted by the House and the Senate and impeached. Yeah, then you can, that's the only way to ever hold a president accountable, is if first they've been impeached by the House and Senate. That's insane to me to think that that's the process for the standard to prove, right?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. It is insane. But I mean, just the fact that Clarence Thomas didn't recuse himself from this at all based on his wife's involvement in Jan 6th and all that. Which
is what this trial is holding up, is the January 6th related trial.
Right. So regardless of how they rule, they probably aren't going to rule until June, which
Yeah.
means there's no way this case
And
happens before the election. And if Trump is reelected, he will kill it. That's
well,
just
so
bottom
there's
line.
two things. So like what right now, as it is, if they make a decision in time, they can have the trial, but they probably wouldn't have the judgment before he's in office, which means he can kill it. The other thing too is they can make their decision in June and say, but we're open to appeals on these subjects. These subjects
And they
aren't
can
clear.
also kick it down to the appellate courts and
That's
say,
what
hey,
I
we
just
need
said.
to.
That's what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
meant. Like they can be
Yeah.
like, these things aren't clear. Can you clarify this? Wink,
Right.
wink. Yeah.
Right. And the Supreme
And that
Court.
would be what they would do. And what happened today was them breaking the ice on the fact that they might not go the way you want. And then at the end of the day, they don't make a decision. They're like, look, we're not as bad as you thought we were. We're just confused. Can you guys clarify this? What do you mean that there's an election? Why didn't you tell us earlier? It's like, because we didn't want to make this political. You seem to be, though. It's clearly an agenda to do that, right? So when that happens, just remember, you have this thought here.
And I mean, the Supreme Court doesn't operate in a vacuum, and it acknowledges that. I mean, if you look at Bush Gore, the Supreme Court weighed in very quickly because they understood the stakes at hand. And for them to pretend that there are no stakes here, and this is just a run-of-the-mill case, is just baffling to me.
No stakes here?
I don't understand why.
No stakes here.
Right. I don't understand why the American public would have any faith whatsoever in the neutrality of the Supreme Court, given what this court has done the last couple of years. It's a crock of shit, and we know it. It's broad daylight.
When you told me that you were surprised, because I was working today, I saw some stuff about it, and most of the stuff I saw about it was questions being asked that I was like, okay, the one you just mentioned, because Kagan was like, I think, would he be able to assassinate or what did Kagan say? I had a clip about it. It was if he staged a coup. And they like gave some weaselly answer for it. It was like, oh, well, that was transparent. Like, obviously you can't take that response seriously. And later on, like hours later, Alan's like, yeah, they kind of didn't answer that the way I was expecting. And so the New York Times said the same thing.
Yeah, essentially they're saying that it appears that the justices are going to limit the 2020 election case against Trump.
What does
and they lay
limit
out,
mean?
so at least provide some. They might take some of the charges and say those are immune. Those fall under presidential actions, and then sort of split the baby. But in any event, regardless of whether that happens or they send it back to the appellate courts, it doesn't. All of that is almost doesn't matter, because in the way things are right now, we likely won't have a trial before the election. If we do, we likely won't get a verdict, and so. All that is the 2024 election is even more existential to Trump than previous. Like, that's all that is.
Do you think
Biden, if he wins, it's over?
Do you think Biden would get impeached by the House and Senate if he locked Trump up extrajudiciously?
Ooh.
Would the Democrats save him?
I don't. I
don't know. I don't think you can count on them the way you can count on MAGA for Trump, right?
Same. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think he would get impeached.
Huh. I'm just saying, they say you could do that now, right? Like, that's basically if that's what they decide, then Biden can do whatever he wants.
I mean, that would be
within somewhat reason.
If that's the way they're applying that standard, I mean,
with January 6th as the bar.
Right. I mean,
I think that instills more chaos in our system rather than
boggles the mind.
We've all, like, Nixon and Ford pardoned Nixon because the assumption until apparently 5 minutes ago was that things like that will get you in trouble in real life after you're not president anymore.
Yes.
Why did they have the Justice Department memo that said, oh, by the way, we've decided presidents are immune while they're in office? Why would they limit that statement then?
Right. Yeah. I mean, there was some back and
the
forth.
Implication
even
was
about,
outside of office, they would need, to be pardoned or, right.
There was some back and forth in the arguments today. One of the justices asked if the internment of Japanese citizens during World War II, obviously, retrospect, that looks a lot worse than it did at the time. And so,
what's that got to do with it?
Well, they said, could he be held accountable, criminally for allowing that? FDR, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. So the response was like, well, no, because the attorney general signed off on it and other people in government signed off on it. So it wasn't.
You know what? I think that's a good argument, though.
Yeah. So it wasn't his responsibility.
Right.
And I think that is a good argument. I agree. But yeah, I don't know. Just the creating this sort of phantasm, this potential thing that would cripple the president and make them unable to act in challenging situations because they could be, held liable for it later. It hasn't crippled presidents before.
Right.
I mean, up to now.
Right. Yeah.
So why would it going forward?
No, he's the one that set the precedent of the unbelievable thing.
Right.
And when he's being held accountable for it, he's saying, what if somebody did something unimaginable? It's like, you did. That's
you did the
why
thing.
You need to face, like, it's not crippled anyone else because they knew that this would happen. Like, it's what you said earlier. They're flipping it. And I just can't, like, it's fucking gaslighting. Like,
it is. It 100% is. I usually hate it when people bring up that term, but fucking, in this instance, I think it applies.
It feels like I'm taking crazy pills right now.
Right. I agree.
Is there any updates? I guess there's no updates in the blackmail trial, right? Or the
so Pecker did some more testifying today.
Sorry.
God, he's such a weird. He's so like
curvy,
charming, and like congenial. He smiles, he laughs.
Throbbing.
I mean, veiny. So he's like so like almost chill on the stand, but he's also, when they asked him about his relationship with Trump today, he was like, no, I love the guy. He's a mentor of mine. He's still, I still consider him a friend. And strangely, of all the people who've sort of, I mean, he's cooperating in this case. He said
he's
things
playing both sides kind of though, right?
Yeah, but he kind of is. But he's the one person that Trump has refused to attack. And I mean,
you know why, right?
Yeah, because he probably knows where all the bodies are buried.
Yes, the New York, the National Enquirer is a fucking blackmail agency.
Yeah,
they call it, what does he call it? What kind of checkbook journalism?
Checkbook journalism.
Yeah, it's a blackmail company. So I have this on good authority. Here's a story. Okay. You know, when I say Tiger Woods and Perkins waitress, you know about that, right?
Perkins doesn't ring a bell, but I know the story.
A waitress, right?
Yeah.
It's a fucking Perkins, which is weird. No, it wasn't a waitress. It was a hostess. It was a Perkins hostess, which is so. Oh God, a lot of times they're not servers yet because they're not 18.
Right.
Just gonna say, when I was at a restaurant, I don't think any of the girls that hosted were old enough to be waitresses yet. You understand?
I understand. Okay. And also, you tend to put people at the front of the house have to be, attracting,
aesthetically appealing. Yeah, yes, sure. So we all know the story about Tiger's fucking a Perkins hostess because it came out after the divorce and the scandal when everything blew up about
the golf club to the windshield incident.
But in like 2008, while it was still like, we would say things like it's all Tiger Woods because it was synonymous with it's all good, right? Rhymed somehow. Like it's still a phrase, like it's all Tiger Woods. It's like, well, it was a good thing. So at that
Tiger Woods could do no wrong in 2008. We loved
a golden god. Yes.
Yeah.
So do you remember seeing him on the cover of Men's Fitness? And it was like Tiger's workout routine. And that was when everybody's like, holy shit, he looks like a linebacker, right?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
So that was really out of place of him because he was such a walled off. It was like, because Jim Rome always had that bit he would play where it was like, the greens look good. The course feels good.
Right.
I like my chances. Because he was a robot. He always had the same response to everything. It was like, why did he just open up? And it was like, it felt sort of weird that he was doing that. I have it on good authority that National Enquirer found out about the Perkins hostess. And rather than blowing up his spot, they threatened to and said, we'd rather have a scoop. Now, National Enquirer, now I said Men's Fitness, didn't I? National Enquirer is owned by, or they owned the
AMI was a parent company.
That parent company also owned Men's Fitness. So
correct.
They got a huge cover that in 2024, me and Alan still remember because it was out of place it was like, whoa, this is like inside Tiger Woods knowledge. Well, you're like, interesting. Yeah, that was because they had found out about it. So
yeah, I don't think that's not even speculation or good authority. That's facts. Like that did happen.
So
I think he's admitted to it.
So the context here is that man got elected through the scheme that he's on trial for in New York. And that guy has blackmail on the president. And like Alan suggested so subtly before I went off on this Tiger Woods rant, Trump has no problem making fun of the judge and everybody who can put him in jail. And he's not saying one thing about the witness that's cooperating.
He said he's a very nice man today when he was asked.
You tell him I'm a nice man, Donald, and I'll tell him you're a mentor for me.
So, but the story that has come out over his testimony over the last few days has been that so they did the Karen McDougal catch and kill. That was earlier on. In the run-up to the 2016 election, Stormy Daniels was apparently shopping her story around. And so Pecker, as was his, what he did, he brought that up to Michael Cohen and said, look, this is out there. And Cohen was like, okay, we'll just deal with it. And Pecker was like, I can't say his name. He was like, well, here's the thing. Like, I didn't get reimbursed for the McDougal catch and kill. And I don't want to deal with a porn star. Like suddenly he has morals or some shit, whatever. And so Cohen was like, well, I mean, we got to do something. And so ultimately Cohen took out a mortgage, like an extra mortgage on his house to pay it himself. Because he was like, well, we certainly have to quash the story. The boss
They're going to try to make it look like he just did it on his own accord.
Well, so no, I don't think so. So the story that comes out is he's like, I'm not going to do this, but this is out there. Somebody should probably deal with it. So Cohen does it. And then that's where the whole reimbursement thing happens, which was
plus fees,
the falsifying of business records, which is how they're
which is what makes this fraud, which is the higher crime.
Right. Now, an interesting wrinkle, and we actually have another headline that's going to kind of coincide with this, but the Weinstein case was overturned in New York. And the reason that they said that it was overturned was because the judge had allowed witnesses to testify in the case that were not part of the criminal counts that were charged against Weinstein.
Okay. Is this the thing that you were saying was adjacent to Weinstein?
Yeah, exactly. And so now the concern is that McDougal, the story about McDougal, the story about the doorman being paid off, they were brought in as to testify as witnesses in this case, or at least that story was brought up in this case, because they wanted to establish a pattern of behavior. That's what this guy does. But those aren't actually, he's not charged with anything in relation to those. And I think that's partly because of statute of limitations, and maybe they just didn't want to complicate the case. But if the precedent in the Weinstein case is set that the judge allowed witnesses to testify that were not part of the things that were charged, then that could potentially apply in the Trump case as well. And then it could be overturned saying, well, why'd you allow the McDougal information in? Why'd you allow the doorman information in when that wasn't part of the relevant facts of the case?
Or at least in appeals, right? Like that'll justify an appeal. Like, is that worth considering? Well, he was a former president. I suppose we should get this. Is what did I say last week? What have I said every week? It's just, we're just tuned in to see how he gets out of this.
It does feel like that. I hate that feeling, but it does. It definitely. And today, like,
the legal system has to be transparent. So it's literally the Bond villain being like, I've got you in my trap. Here was my plan the whole time. Definitely don't get out of my trap and press this button.
Right.
I'm going to leave the room for 5 minutes. Like, that's the legal process.
Oh, man. We'll see. I mean, I guess the Supreme Court could surprise us in June, but I think I don't think so.
Yeah. We can talk about other stuff later on that. If we just did 30 minutes on that, we can.
I know, right?
That was,
that's a big story, though.
That was a huge story. That's why it was number one. Yeah. And timely, Alan. I appreciate that. An Arizona grand jury indicted 18 people. Oh, this is, speaking of timely, Arizona grand jury indicted 18 people, including Mark Meadows and Rudy Giuliani for, move your cursor, Alan.
Sorry.
God. Arizona grand jury indicted 18 people, including Mark Meadows and Rudy Giuliani, for alleged involvement in a fake elector scheme to overturn the state's 2020 election results. What is this? A year and a half ago and still considered old news? Why are they just doing this now?
So
Surely
actually, they apologize actually for it taking so long, but they said they had to assemble the relevant facts and get all their ducks in a row. Trump is not indicted
Wasn't
in
Letitia
this.
James elected like in 2020? Didn't she like run on that? Or Fonnie Willis? One of them was like
Well, Fonnie's
what's
in
your
Georgia.
excuse? Yeah, I know. One of
Fonnie's in
those two.
Georgia.
One of the charges
Letitia's
against
in New
him
York.
was brought. Alan, what I'm saying is one of the charges brought against him was brought by a prosecutor or a DA that was just elected in the 2020 election. So
Sure.
it's like, what's your excuse? We didn't have people in place to do this when it happened. Like,
I mean, Arizona politics, I'm sure was.
oh, they've
part
got
of the
laws
reason.
from 1864. They're just coming up to take a look at. That's a good point. That's our
We
next
actually
headline.
have a headline about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Trump is not indicted. He's listed as an unindicted co-conspirator, although I guess I heard some people talking today saying potentially he could be added as as a conspirator later on. So maybe they just don't want that smoke right now, as everything else is happening with the Supreme Court and other courts. But yeah, this does feel like, I mean, this is fucking years later, right? When all these other cases have been ongoing for quite a while. But I just thought it was interesting and relevant to bring up. I don't have a lot.
I saw it it led off the NPR news and it was like the headline for the episode.
Mhm.
And I was just like, I was still waking up, I'm like,
Right.
oh, interesting.
Did I just download an old episode?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I'm like, this is a daily episode. Like, you don't have old shit.
Right.
What are you, the New York Times talking about shit a week later? You heard first on one take. And that's all they do now, right?
It does feel like that.
They did that thing on the bird flu on Monday. Natasha's like, I'm so scared. I'm like, I know you listen. I'm not going to get upset. We covered this shit 2 weeks ago. And I said, they're going to make a big deal about this once they get around to it. And then they got around to it. And that was actually a good episode. They got more in depth on it than we did, which was fine.
Yeah. I find myself skipping a lot of.
That one was a
dailies.
good one.
I did. I listened to that one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There was a couple other good ones this week that were also not particularly timely, but they were good. The same with the intelligence. I don't know.
I like the intelligence. I
I
like
do too, but some of them haven't felt that useful to me.
I got a clip.
information-wise.
I got a clip for next week from the intelligence. Did you listen to today's?
No, I didn't. I didn't yet.
Good. They had a segment about cats mating, and they said something that's very funny. You'll like it on the show next week.
Okay. All right.
Okay, just want you to do the next one.
Arizona's House voted to repeal the state's strict 1864 abortion ban that was reinstated by the state Supreme Court, sending it to the Senate. So a couple of Republicans had to cross the line to get this repealed in the House. They've attempted to repeal it in the House a couple other times unsuccessfully. So whatever trading they had to do, horse trading to get this to work this time, I don't
Is
know.
this expected to pass the Senate too?
So again,
This
there would have
didn't make any news. Did this happen this morning?
Yeah,
Oh.
it did. So in the Senate, there would also have to be some Republicans to cross the aisle for this to be passed.
Yeah.
Unclear if it will be. If it does, they think that the governor would sign it, but unclear if they can make it through.
Democrat governor, I'm sure it would.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
New York's top court reversed Harvey Weinstein's 2020 rape conviction and ordered a new trial, brand new trial. So that's good, at least ordering a new trial. Finding the initial trial was not conducted fairly. He remains in prison on a California conviction.
Yeah, so we
Sorry,
kind of
what is
covered
going
this.
on? Why are you telling me New York is reversing Weinstein's 2020 conviction? Oh, so he's in prison under two different states.
Yeah, so he was convicted in California and New York both.
So he didn't get let free today.
No, he did not.
And he won't get let free anyways because of the California conviction.
Right. So
Who
the
texted us,
California
Who
conviction.
texted us?
Sorry. Oh, it was a Washington Post notification. Actually,
all right.
I turned it off. So the California verdict, I think, was like 16 years, and the New York verdict was like 22, something like that. And so, yeah, he's not free by any means. He's still in jail, and they will retry this case. But as I already discussed, the connection between this case and the Trump hush money case could be significant. So there we are.
That's interesting, and I'm glad you talked about that because in my mind, I didn't know the second thing about the California case.
Oh, okay.
Really busy today.
Yeah. Yeah. No worries.
Yours.
The DOJ agreed to pay $139 million to victims of former USA gymnastics doctor Larry Nasser over claims of the FBI mishandling of sexual abuse allegations. This case is pretty fucking gross, but you rarely get a federal agency saying, "My bad, we fucked up." That almost never happens.
Well,
And
because what I'm sure you'll say why.
that just doesn't happen or rarely happens. And
Right,
for the
'cause they don't have
FBI,
to.
right, and for the FBI to say, "Yeah, we fucked up." They had found child abuse material on a device that he had, and they didn't go anywhere with it. There had been allegations that he was doing things that they didn't pursue.
That top gymnast woman, Maloney or Maroney.
Oh,
She
yeah.
she had told them about it like 3 years prior,
Yep, yep.
and they didn't do anything.
They didn't do anything.
At the end of the day, Michigan State's internal investigation at the campus
Right.
is what led
And
to
even
it.
that took too long.
Of
But
course.
I mean, yeah, it was a complete mishandling of this case, and they admitted it and said, "Yeah, we fucked up." The Michigan State has already, agreed to pay a large sum of money as well to the victims of this case. But I mean, people being held accountable, institutions being held accountable is great. But bottom line is no amount of money is going to bring any of those
Right.
gymnasts' childhood back, right? Or
And
it's
it was
they're just
countless. I mean, wasn't it like over
hundreds.
100? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And
just
like, I don't wanna get graphic. We're not gonna get graphic,
no.
but, I will describe something unique about him that without being graphic, you can imagine what's going on. I'll just say it. He was keep in mind everything that he was and
Mhm.
convicted of. He was sort of famous for creating or he was famous for using a procedure to inspect something in the area where you're not supposed to touch a woman.
Mhm.
And he was famous for normally, I guess that's done either from outside the body, like probing. I'm not sure, like the abdomen, or X-rays. And he said he came up with a clever way to do that from inside the body. And it's just like, dude, what a red flag! Like, just
Yeah. There were so many.
I don't like telling that story, but I feel like that's without getting into too much. That's a good example of what the scumbag.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there was just so many indicators through so many years that the fact that all of that was ignored is just appalling.
it is.
It's
Yeah.
horrific.
And you can see why it's good they apologized, but and like you're saying, is unusual.
Yeah, very much so.
Tennessee
All right.
won me.
Yeah. Mhm.
Tennessee, some Tennessee ass shit. Tennessee lawmakers passed a bill to allow teachers and other staff to carry concealed handguns in public schools. This is a year after the shooting here in Nashville at the Covington Catholic School, which I drive by frequently, by the way.
So they are requiring the teachers attend 40 hours per year of gun safety and usage in schools, how to react to these sort of incidents, and they have to recertify yearly to do that. The Daily Show had a fun little bit where they satirize essentially saying that why are we okay with that sort of education being required for teachers to carry, but not the general public, which I don't think is an exact
That's not a
equivalent.
very tight piece of
No,
logic there, but it
it's
makes
not.
sense. Like
It's not.
I get the
It does make a little
inspiration
sense,
of it,
and
but
they
yeah,
made it was amusing. I'll say.
yeah,
I don't
especially
know.
for
I'm curious.
on the subject.
I'm curious your thoughts
Well,
on.
so here's one thing I think. My initial thought was we'll get some good data out of this.
Mm,
Everybody says how crazy this idea is, and I'm not sure how I like this. I do like the idea of not saying that this is a place where you can go in and there won't be any guns or anybody to shoot back for 30 or 45 minutes until law enforcement goes out and make sure the parents don't go in.
or maybe hours if you're in Uvalde.
You know what? I was exaggerating, and I thought I gave it enough time to make fun of Uvalde. It was an hour and a half, wasn't it?
Yes.
So that's what I mean, though, right? So, like, if you do remove that from it, it would be interesting to see the before and after data. And we
Mhm.
were already a state that this is really interesting data, and it sucks as it's human lives, but that we were a state that you can look at up until 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when we became constitutional carry. So what it was like, you can look at that number, which is in our modern era of gun violence, right?
Right.
and then you can look at the time or the data from what, like 2021 or 2022 through now, and then you can look at the data from that time period, and you may be able to prove this is a good idea. And I mean, like, at minimum, knowing that it isn't just one inept failed cop that's there as a safety officer, which wasn't in Parkland. He was like the only one that was willing to do anything, right? Or was he one of the ones that got shit for? You know what? I don't remember. Yeah, I think that will be interesting. In terms of that versus the general public, you know, the general public isn't a place where you send your kids and expect them to be safe all day.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I would point out is it is an opt-in. So it's not like teachers are required to carry weapons.
Interesting, because that was the way it was portrayed. Every
Yeah,
teacher is going to be packing, like Mrs.
No.
Blackwell, that lady. Jesus,
No, no, it's
Mrs.
an opt-in
Blackwell. Or
situation.
Miss Walensky used to do this during the whole class. When, you know, the jokes were made that there was something in her chair. But
Right.
like, so like Miss Walensky with a handgun, oh my goodness.
Probably don't want that. Probably don't want that. Yeah, so it is an opt-in situation. It's like you have to carry to be a teacher. So yeah, I mean,
And they're certified, and they have to remain certified
Yeah.
yearly. Yeah, I think that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
I mean, and that's more hours than you're required to take for sexual harassment training. Like,
you know what? That's a good point. That's a great point.
significantly more.
Yeah, and it's fun. You get to go shoot your gun a few times, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
oh, cool.
So I don't
Do some
know.
target practice. That sounds good.
We shall see, as you said. It will be an interesting
Paid
experiment.
for? Is that paid for by the state, or do they have to do it out of pocket?
Oh, you know what? I did not get to that level.
You know what? I would do it. I would especially do it just to be like, yeah, and like once a year, the government pays for me to shoot my gun for a week. Like, that sounds great. 40
Yeah.
hours, man.
That's a week off to play.
40
with guns.
hours?
Yeah,
That's kind of a long time.
that is a long time.
Every year, or no, one
Every year.
40-hour and then a reassessment.
As far as I understood it, it's 40 hours yearly required.
That's a lot. Nobody's
That's
doing
a
that,
lot.
man. They're just gonna bring their gun in there, and then they're gonna save the day, and they're gonna be like, "Oopsies, I forgot to stay up to date."
Right. Didn't have my certification this year.
Fair.
All right, moving on. Was that? Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Israel's military intelligence head resigned over failures to prevent the October 7th Hamas attack, making the first such high-level resignation.
200
So
days
again, you often don't see responsibility taken by.
What's BB doing? Like,
BB will never do it.
Doubling down, throttling on, because he knows that the only good reaction for everything was fucked for him politically.
Yep.
And the best thing that happened to him was to have the distraction of this war. It's like genocide, schmenocide. I'm going to be in jail if we go back to what we were talking about before October 7th.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
need to keep escalating. Let's Putin this shit. Like, it's
So
exactly
BB
what's going on. We don't have good things to say about Israel. I have bad things to say about students being idiots.
Same. Yeah, BB
How else-
absolutely will not take responsibility. And so, you know,
I should be on record saying there are some very intelligent and reasoned people in that group, and I think they outnumber the other people. But you got some problems going on there, and you know, you can say they're being infiltrated so that they can. I don't know, man. Like, you're inviting everyone you can to come down there, and I think you're creating a bigger problem than you're getting pop for.
yeah, I think the clip that we played in the secret track is
yeah.
evidence of that.
Oh, yeah. I don't have
Absolutely.
to rehash that.
Yeah. So there was some talk of people, you know, taking responsibility for what happened on October 7th before this. And a lot of the reaction was, well, we're at war now. We need these people in place. We can't just, we can't just leave our jobs because we feel bad about what happened when we're important right now. Things matter. So
But everybody said in Trump, it's like, well, I got to work there so that I can control Trump.
Right. So this particular individual said, hey, it's been long enough. I take responsibility. My intelligence agency failed. So yeah. And I see your note and I agree.
Okay. Google fired. Wait, was that me? Yeah. Google fired 28 employees citing disruptive behavior for participating in sit-in protests at Google offices over the firm's $1.2 billion cloud computing contract with the Israeli government. So in this instance, you've got a direct thing that you're saying, I don't want to be involved in. And it sounds like they're saying, I'm willing to lose my job for this. And here's how I'll protest. And okay. And when the consequences come that you should probably expect, because you don't.
You fucked around and you found out. And you
you're replaceable. They just fired 22% of their staff. There's people that can just, hey man, real sorry. Can I, by the way, can I hire you for less? right? Like
Right.
they're gonna like there's a bunch of people in that industry, right?
Yeah, and
Like,
so
what do you think you
Google
are, a mechanic? I mean, I could fucking well, I don't think I can, but
Google sent a memo out to all of its
hi, Mike.
all of its Googlers, as they call them,
No.
their employees. Yeah, they call them
Is that a
Googlers.
word?
That's what the memo actually says that.
It's gay.
Hey, Googlers.
Oh.
They said if you think that you can violate our terms and get away with it, you absolutely cannot. I just somehow turned on my Google Assistant by saying something I said.
Oh, you said, "Hey, Googlers."
That's probably what happened. Yeah. So they said, no, absolutely not. We will not tolerate this behavior. And these were things that happened like on campus in buildings, not like they were protesting on the street somewhere. So they were physically.
Is this your
blocking.
example of chaining yourself to a copier? Did somebody? do
Yeah,
it?
that was. I mean, that didn't happen, but they were blocking access to certain rooms or trying to block people's
They're being
access.
disruptive to the business flow.
The business, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So it wasn't
I
just.
mean, you got to understand that that's going to probably cost you your job. I mean, I would, if I felt passionately, I would do that.
Knowing the
And
consequences.
the
and
consequences.
accepting
Yeah,
them.
you don't get you don't complain. Like you find out and you don't say I fucked around. Like, it's fine. I you know what? I'm not hearing anything from them. So seems like they
accepted their
bargain.
fate.
Yeah.
So, but just further evidence of what's going on and how charged this topic is.
Oh, I get it. I mean, I don't see any headlines here about mass graves.
Right.
Like it's upsetting. Like I don't have anything good to say about it. I also understand that what I just said about BB needing to escalate everything after he was about to go to jail for all his briberies and shit like that. Mistresses, in his words.
And his attempt to
repeal
reduce the Justice
system,
Department.
basically.
Yeah.
Like I get it. And I also understand what governments like that, like ours, do after events like 9/11. Like I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it. I'm also not happy that Hamas thought that was a good fucking idea to do. Like, I'm not callous about any of this. I'm just saying, like, none of these things happen without the other inputs, and they're not false equivalents. One of them may have more weight than the other, but I just can't only look at one of those things. And, I wish we could just come on here and talk about mass graves and how horrific that is, right? People in scrubs found in a grave wearing handcuffs. Like, that is
handbound. Yes. Yeah, next to hospitals. Yes. It is outrageous and horrific. Yeah, I agree.
And I feel like there is effective protest for that. We could even go march down streets and do that. There are ways like people organize and do that. We can do that. But you're shutting down a public place where you pay money to go to. And I get it. If you're paying money, Exit Voice and Loyalty, I guess that's voice. But this manner that they're doing that, they keep calling it free speech and it's not. And the way that
I agree.
Whether they want that move, like when you get inspired by what I just described about the mass graves, you don't want that movement to be hijacked by all of these bad people, but it has, and you need to regroup and do something else. You don't like doubling down.
You can't ignore it.
And it's undermining the entire message. And we spend the show talking about that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we talked about it last week.
This should be a fucking lesson. Like the mass graves are more important. The
Absolutely.
Palestinian kids are more important, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, the UK and Germany charged 5 people with spying for China this week, including a high-profile researcher for a UK political party. So they're saying that they, in one instance, that they took some proprietary laser technology and gave it to China. Yeah, and then potentially some sort of weapon systems, and then as well as just giving them inside information about the goings-on of government. So this is after the Prime Minister of Germany, I want to say, just visited Xi in Beijing, trying to sort of calm the relations between Europe and China. And this sort of
Blinken's there today, right?
Yeah. Sort of offsets any sort of warm relations that may have been fostered then. China's, of course, saying, no, we didn't do that. But it seems kind of like their MO, like what they usually do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not surprised by this at all.
Normally, they just get it from tank game message boards.
Right.
By the way, here's the blueprint,
Discord.
idiot. You don't know what the range capacity or whatever it is. You know what the
Right.
magazine looks like. I have the blueprints. Look, I can't believe that keeps happening. There's like 5 listeners that don't know that story, right?
Yeah, I think people know it.
That's so funny. People are getting into arguments on message boards so that they can get people to give over. Well, whether they're doing it intentionally or not, people are getting mad and then posting blueprints to classified documents to prove their argument. And then it stays in the message board. So other people are there. Like, hey,
and now you've shared classified information.
This is what happens. You just hire whoever you can. The Biden administration,
the U.S.
U.S. agreed to withdraw its roughly 1,000 troops from Niger. Interestingly, the next day, other people were like, "No, actually, it's still under negotiation." So he misspoke, but I'll read the headline anyway. U.S. agreed to withdraw its roughly 1,000 troops from Niger. They're used for counterterrorism there. After the ruling junta terminated a military cooperation accord. So the government got overthrown. The people that are running the government now, that we haven't recognized, probably won't recognize, even if they're there for 50 years. They demanded that we leave, and they tore up the contract, basically. And we're like, yeah, that's cool. That's a multi-million-dollar drone base. So no, that's where we launch our drones from in that region. So yeah, no, sorry, you don't get to tell us not to. So we argued over that for a while, and then we've said that we're going to withdraw them. And then a spokesperson came out this morning or yesterday, I heard it this morning, and said, no, that guy misspoke. So either he's lying or he is trying to pretend like there's negotiations to get negotiations going. I don't know where it stands at this point. But
I think that's still up in the air as well. Yeah.
Do you think he would just go out and lie? I mean, I'm not saying they're honest people. I'm saying typically when they wouldn't just lie, they have a way of it not being a lie,
Yeah, it may not be entirely.
This guy was talking to that guy. That's negotiations.
It may not entirely be the truth, but it's probably at least partially the truth.
Truthiness.
Truth adjacent. Yeah. So this is actually has some consequences because, as you said, it is a drone base, and there's a lot of activity over there right now.
We just built that base. It's a very expensive new base.
Yeah.
Do we have a bunch of troops there too?
Not a bunch, about 1,000.
Oh, well, you have 1,000. And those troops aren't really going anywhere because of what happened, right? So they're not rotating out and stuff like that.
As of right now, as I understand, they're still holding in place, but
probably not good.
Situation's not great, and it's moving quickly. So we'll see.
Okay. All
right. The Biden administration issued new rules requiring airlines to provide automatic cash refunds for canceled or significantly delayed flights and disclose fees. So it's like if you have a domestic flight that's delayed by more than, I want to say I don't know if it's 5 or 6 hours, then you can request a refund, and they have to do it. If it's,
I think it was 3 hours.
Is it 3 hours? Okay. International flights, I want to say, is 12 hours. But it's weird to me that we already didn't have this sort of thing in place.
Yeah, I know.
I guess
a lot of the government loves the airline industry, though.
Right. A lot of this came up during the pandemic when people had booked flights that they no longer wanted to take because of the risk involved, or when flights were canceled by airlines because the demand just fell away. And so I guess that's kind of where a lot of this stemmed from. There was a lot more public outcry about the way the airlines were dealing with this stuff. And so the administration decided to deal with that now.
I put up a story post saying, because we got a few aviation nerds in our community. I said, I wonder how this will impact flight safety, because I'm an anxious flyer. And we got a guy conveniently named Loadmaster.
The ultimate load.
Not now, Alan. Why would you say that now? Loadmaster. Why would you say that?
I do know Loadmaster.
Airlines will act like it's a massive impact on their bottom line. They may start to push maintenance harder. So I think that means they'll have to push the maintenance guys to work harder. You guys got to do faster, right?
Squeeze more out of them. Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me. Yeah. But he doesn't think it's going to have a significant effect. So I don't know. I'm always anxious about all that shit. I can imagine it's look, I don't care. Let's get that bird up in the air. That's marginal. Let's make a decision to go. And that probably one.
That's what Boeing did.
1 in 10,000 times probably doesn't have any consequences, but I don't want to look up how many flights there are a day.
Right. I actually just picked up a Audible book based on a listener's recommendation about Boeing, called Flying Blind, which I haven't started yet, but it's supposed to be really good.
I think that same listener talked to me, and I wonder if it's the same person. I think we got to dance around that carefully. I got another book right before they recommended that to me from another listener about my anxiety, and it's called Ask the Pilot. Shouts out to Brian. He also recommended the saxophone from. Well, Brian's the guy that got me in touch with Real Big Fish. And
nice. Oh, right. Okay.
By the way, I'm doing pretty good with my Saturday night, and I ain't got no body. I'm doing pretty good on that one.
Right on.
I started picking up the Tennessee Waltz so that I can learn like the original of it, because Sam Cooke does a version where I was like, oh shit, it can sound like that. I forgot. Okay. So once I know the original, I can start cutting corners and stuff. That was what it was like for me because I had to learn Saturday night on my own without sheet music. And I wanted to play a note for every word. And then I realized no, it's da da da.
There's a sustained.
Yeah, you got to sort of swing it. Yeah. Anyway, why was I saying all of that? Oh, the book he recommended was Ask the Pilot. And it's kind of like what I do at parties when I find out somebody's a pilot. I'm like, oh, maybe you're gonna make my anxiety go away tonight. And I talk
play 20 questions with him.
Didn't work, but yeah.
Didn't work.
Do you remember that pilot? There was a big time listener on TMOS.
Yeah, Joel. Wasn't it Joel?
Which one was it?
I think it was Joel, wasn't it?
I think you're right. Joel was the name I was thinking too. We have a Joel that's into aviation. I wonder. No, he's not a pilot though. He works in another industry. Anyways, Joel. I talked to him at one of the TMOS live shows, and it actually helped the most. That was where I had the realization of it's just like there's strata to the air, just like on a lake, and you're in a stream, so it's okay if you move around. The wings will keep you off the ground. Don't worry. It doesn't work when I'm scared though. I remember being a kid and flying over. My dad lived in Denver. I would take off in San Diego. One of the they always say it's a crazy airport to land in, but I would fly from San Diego to Denver over the Rockies, and I didn't care about turbulence. I remember thinking it was fun at times, but I don't know what happened. You get into your 30s, and all of a sudden,
I landed in San Diego and took off. I think I had a layover there.
It's never a thing. It's not.
I didn't really notice it. I had always heard.
You're like, oh, buildings are kind of at plane level. That's
yeah. It didn't seem like that big of a deal to me.
It's not. People exaggerate. They're like, pilots hate it. All right.
Cheers.
I just did that one about flying.
Oh, I thought, okay. High-speed passenger rail line between
I did that one. Or you did that one. High-speed passenger rail line between Las Vegas and Los Angeles began construction. Oh, it's only $12 billion. Over under 10x. Over under 10x.
I'm going to say over. And I'm guessing they're going to do the pedestal before the monkey and only complete the easy parts.
Now, it is mostly flat to get there.
And I don't know if you are aware of this, but they're planning to, most of the track is actually going to run down the middle of I-15.
The middle?
The middle of I-15 is going to.
I heard you the first time. Yeah. That goes up the hill. Like you should have gone out the 10 and then up. Since it's high speed, you can make up for it in timing.
I don't know which parts won't, but it said the majority of it will be.
They've got to do that. So when we talk about monkeys and pedestals, it's if you want to complete this project where you have monkeys that juggle flamethrowers standing on a pedestal, you don't start with the pedestal. You start with the hard part, which is training a monkey to juggle flamethrowers. Right. And the government always does the easy part first, just to say we did something. So
that's why we have part of the California high-speed line between Fresno and fucking
flat land, because the hard part with rail is going uphill. Well, the uphill with Vegas to San Diego or to California to Los Angeles is I don't know which mountains those are. I forget now. But Big Bear and up to Victorville and all that shit, and
the high desert up there.
Yeah. What is that up there? Baker, Barstow. Yeah. It's all one high-speed burn from Bakersfield, Barstow, and Verdue. Another freak off to Santa Monica. We're another freak in the freak kingdom. You get it. I'm glad you get it.
I get it.
So yeah, the hard part is going up and over the mountains. They're not going to do that first. And the 15 goes through the mountains. I thought they would take the 10 out and then up over, but I guess that doesn't work.
Article said the 15, so
dumb. It's not going to be a waste of money. And I shouldn't have let you guess on the over. Yeah, 100% that's going over 10 times.
Yes.
So 12 billion. Remember the initial one. Obviously, it'll be more than 12 billion. Surely it won't be more than 20, 30 billion, 40, 50, 60 billion, 70 billion, 80 billion, 100, 120 billion. You think it'll be more than that? I bet it will. I think you're right. They're proven wrong every time.
if history serves, then yes. Apple removed WhatsApp, Threads, Telegram, and Signal from its China App Store after a government order over national security concerns. So I left this in mostly because there's a lot of talk about TikTok in our country right now, and the bill has passed where ByteDance is given 9 months to divest itself of TikTok or have the app banned in the U.S.
And then TikTok was like, no, we will rather die than lose our. We can make billions of dollars, hundreds of billions probably of dollars, or we can just not make any and keep the algorithm. And that doesn't look suspicious at all, right? Doesn't that sound like you're doing this all for CCP in China? Like,
kind of does.
If that was what the government's claim was, and your response is, "Oh, we'd rather just burn it all on fire than accept hundreds of $billions and lose the algorithm." Like, okay, well, yeah, that's kind of confirming people's claims,
right?
Go
right.
on.
So I'm not. So I don't want to suggest that we should be like China.
No, because this applies to any foreign government-owned app, and it lists what foreign adversarial entities are as a description. And it says if they're apps that are a majority owned by them or a certain percentage owned by them, then the government can demand the same thing that they're doing to TikTok, right?
Yeah, and so I don't want to equate our system to theirs. However, I do want to point out that China has and continues to put a lot of roadblocks in front of American-based multinational companies. Google, Apple, they bend over backwards to do business in China, and they have for years. And so it's not like us throwing this out there was completely just like.
That's a good point, actually.
That
is actually, I haven't heard enough people really say that way.
I thought it was a good point to make. Yeah.
After I said it, I was like, I think he said something like that before, and I didn't understand him. Yeah, that is a good point. I'm glad you said it twice, Alan. Yeah, yeah. They we operate in their market, which is not like anybody else, to the extent that they're like, we want to fucking change the world, so you guys have to deal with our preferred way of dealing with it. Because whenever we do things that piss you off, we have to pay consequences for it. So like, we want to just change it, and all our companies like, oh, whatever you say to have access to your billions of people. And then and the second we ask them for anything, they're like, no, go fuck yourself. Like,
right. Exactly. They're Elon Musk at the conference. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. This the concern I have over the government overreach in the way that I perceive this as is not as high as the concern of the threat that I see. Is that I
can see that.
I hate performing that kind of calculation because that always bites me in the ass. But I guess we won't have the counterfactual of what they do. I mean, we're seeing what they're willing to do if they lose control of it. Then, I mean, we're also seeing that, like, you look at the most popular hashtags, right? And it's all like Free Palestine and stuff like that. And people are like, oh, that's what the government wants to do. They want to kill it so that it's not a problem for them anymore. They've been working on this since Trump was in office. Like, don't be so short-sighted. Trump wanted this before he needed money from the ByteDance guy.
Right. Exactly.
Or TikTok guy. But then, you look at China and they ban all of these things. Wikipedia is banned in China, right? Like, so it's like, okay.
Or at least heavily censor other things. Yeah.
So like, yeah, you should go fuck yourself about this, actually. like this actually is a kind of reasonable thing to request. So it is unreasonable to demand they divest, but I don't know what other solution there is. And this isn't. So I'm all about like marketplace of ideas and the market deciding things, but we have to accept the fact that in the age that we're in with social networks, that is a new market. It's not the same thing as the marketplace. And we have to that statement, I undersold that, and I don't know how to say it better. Like, can I just say it twice for emphasis? Like we talk about the marketplace of ideas and how we need to let these social media and things that happen in the social media sphere shake place through the marketplace of ideas, but we're layering a new thing that actually is its own marketplace, and in many ways supersedes the existing marketplace of ideas, and talking about it as if it's a component of the other one that it's actually like overtaking and consuming.
And we also
need
have
to treat it differently.
We also
need
have
to figure out how to, and we'll probably be wrong a few times. Okay, I'm done now.
We also have to admit that there are malevolent state actors out there, and that they are absolutely going to use all of these social media platforms to do the best to push their incentives forward, right? Like China, Russia, they are going to...
the French.
China, Russia, the French.
they are going to use these platforms to, project what they want to project on the world stage, to fuck with American democracy, politically. All of
Promote
these things
frog eating and snail eating and all the other stuff that the French
to
do.
agitate political dissent. All of these things we can't like pretend that doesn't exist. It
No,
does.
you're right.
And so that's part of the math here.
No, you're
All
right. There is, this isn't. We talked about it on the last episode about bullies, right? Like we like to think of the way that we prefer to interact with each other, but then, not to make everything about Trump, but it's the same way where it's like, no, like the outlier did something outrageous. Like you can't just be like, we live in a world where people don't do that. Like,
yeah. Actually, there's another news article that kind of touches on some of that. It's pretty interesting.
Tesla?
Yeah, I think it's me, right?
No, it's
yeah. No, it's you. It's you.
Tesla reported a 9% drop in Q1 revenue. That's the biggest drop since 2012. As the electric car maker said, it will accelerate. Car words.
Pun intended.
Will accelerate plans to launch cheaper models. But initially, they were going to make cheaper models because they were going to revolutionize their manufacturing process. And in their recent conference call, they're like, we're going to make the cheaper models on our existing manufacturing process. Also, if you ask hard questions about when those are coming out and what their prices are going to be, the best answer I can tell you is sooner than you'd think, which is not an answer.
Yes. Which is a very Elon sort of response. So yeah, I mean, bottom line is there's a lot more competition in EVs than there was a few years ago. China's in
Trump
the
wants
game.
to do 100% tax from Mexico.
Yeah, China's in the game. They're making lower cost EVs, and it is having impact on Tesla, as well as in the U.S. domestic market. There's a lot more companies are making EVs, not just the big three, but other companies are doing that. Rivian, Polestar, etc. So there's a lot more competition in the market, and I think that you could also argue that Elon hasn't done himself any favors in attracting consumers based on his public. I mean.
Go fuck yourself.
You mean that?
Yeah. And if I was a shareholder, I'd be fucking pissed.
I kind of want him to not be. I don't feel like I'm getting anything out of Elon at this point. As like somebody could be more innovative in charge of Tesla right now.
I would be very. If I was a shareholder,
what's the story arc of like when you try to talk about late to industrialized countries? It's always some authoritarian structure where they put state funding into all of the industry. And then once they get that going up to speed, they start to bring in the market into it, whether they do it intentionally or not. That tends to be the method that countries rapidly industrialized, right? Well, Elon's that strong man. He put the company into a good position. You need to maybe let the market decide things better than the guy who's very distracted over at Twitter. Let me just open Twitter and see what it fucking suggests to me. It's insane.
Oh God. It's just
when I log in on my computer, it's not what I see on my phone. So this is what you get when you don't subscribe. Here we go. I am not even pre-reading this. Late last year, several ex-employees were threatened by a guy with a machete outside Walgreens on Market in San Francisco. They didn't report it because that doesn't constitute an arrestable crime in California. That guy later killed 3 people. Was what they put a tracker on him?
I mean, it's outrage posting. It's trying to.
Dude, I've got 3. Like, hold on, let me share this shit. This is what you get. Why do I get 3 Elon posts in a row?
Yeah, that whole platform is just a dumpster fire. Jeez.
Oh yeah, and then I got a Mike Tyson and Diddy.
P. Diddy?
Oh, I got a shark. That's kind of fun. But that's the 4th one down.
Yeah. Oh, and there's more.
Yep. Just outraged. People with a bunch of emojis in the fucking title.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think I have a whole lot more to say about that. Should I just hit this last one here real quick and we can get
I'm just watching a video where a truck's losing tires, taking shit out on the road. It's an 18-wheeler. It can lose a lot of tires.
Lose a few tires. That's why
you hit that light pole. Whoa. Okay, I'm gonna close this. Sorry. Your turn.
The U.S. economy grew at a 1.6% annualized rate in Q1, well below expectations of 2.4% GDP growth. This comes also as we have some inflation news coming out worse than expected.
Again? Is that 2 months in a row now?
Again, yeah.
Uh-oh.
And so the Fed meets next week, I want to say, and there had been some.
Not this quarter, but the next quarter, and now they're not going to do it the next quarter. And probably not the one after.
Yeah, exactly. So there there had been some hope that there would be rate cuts at this meeting. That seems almost impossible now. The market is completely, saying that's not going to happen. And at this point, we'll be lucky if we get a rate cut in September.
That's what I was
Market watchers are saying, and we may only get 1 or 2 this year, if any at all.
I don't.
So,
what are you even talking about? No way, man! You're having 2 months like this in a row, like
yeah.
And isn't
So this is where
Q1's normally slow, though, right?
Yeah, but this
Not by
this-
now, not this
not,
late.
not
Yeah.
this late. So this is where potentially the whole Bidenomics thing comes off the wheels. It was a gamble, was a risk for them to brand it like that, and they thought it was a risk worth taking. We'll see in November if it was. I guess.
Enormity of their stupidities.
Got a couple of in other news.
We do have a couple of in other news. All right, this one's hilarious. You put this one in here. This is hypersexual zombie cicadas that are infected.
Turns the frickin' birds gay.
They're infected with sexually transmitted fungus.
Say that all
Expected
again.
to-
Say that all again. Those are a lot of words.
It's a lot of words. Hypersexual zombie cicadas that are infected with sexually.
They're already like born to fuck because they're only alive for
like a week or two. Yeah.
Probably don't show a call.
They're infected with sexually transmitted fungus expected to emerge this year. So it actually only impacts currently about 5% of the population of cicadas this year.
That's a lot of cicadas, dude.
A lot of cicadas. So this is very bizarre. So, and they don't quite understand how this fungus evolved. But obviously to interact with a creature like a cicada, which is only active once every 14 or
17
18
years, 13
17
years. There's different broods. Yeah.
Right. It had to be, for this fungus to survive in that sort of environment, there had to be some pretty tricky evolution happening here.
Wait, are you telling me there's like zombie fungus right below the surface where
Yeah.
the cicadas are living? Which is a matter of time until someone digs somewhere they shouldn't have, licks
Or
their
eats a
shovel like a
cicada.
weirdo.
Yeah. Then you get Last of Us. It's all over. All right. So the way this fungus operates.
I was hoping you'd tell this.
Okay. So
This is disturbing.
So the fungus takes out their abdomen and makes their genitals fall out, and in the place of it, you have this sticky sort of fungus sticking out where their genitals should be, the back end of the cicada. Okay.
So fucking hard, Alan.
When that fungus, so the cicadas try to mate. Obviously, they can't because their genitals are gone, but they have this fungus. So that fungus then is transmitted to the cicada they try to mate with. Now, the even crazier thing is cicadas typically, like the females will flash their wings to attract mates, and the males make a noise. The males who are infected with this fungus will do both. So they attempt to attract both male and female cicadas.
Oh, this is like the female attraction stuff, like this
Yeah.
sound. They do that like a bunch.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. So the male cicadas will attempt to attract mates as a female cicada. So essentially, they're attracting both males and females to exponentially
To get them to come around this fungus. Is it is it transmissible?
Yes.
They're
It's
only
transmissible.
the only thing that's saving all of us is they only live for 24 hours.
Right. It's transmissible through sex or attempting.
Dude, hold
to
on.
mate.
Like, is this going to happen to like a deer or something? And we're going to have deer with this? Like,
Well, I mean,
why is this happening to the cicadas?
They don't know.
John Cicada.
There are examples of fungi jumping species, certainly, but they're not speculating that this could happen here. But they don't really know that much about it. It's a very
Wait, how do they still live with their abdomen and genitals removed? Because of the way that bugs work.
because the way they they only live for a short period of time, anyways. So yeah, if you look at the pictures, it's very bizarre.
I don't want to look at the pictures, Alan.
It's like it's like it's almost like a
Alan's
white,
looking at the pictures
chocolatey,
saying,
beautiful cock. That's a good looking cock. Like the butt of the cicada is replaced completely with this just like white chalky thing. It's weird to see. Actually, the picture they have in this article was somebody. It's like on somebody's finger, and I'm like, I wouldn't want to hold that shit. You can see the person's like thumb in the background, but yeah, pretty fucking bizarre, dude. So don't eat any cicadas this year if you're
I
planning.
want to eat cicadas.
Didn't Dawn eat some
Yeah, I
cicadas?
said they taste like peanut
Yeah.
butter. I want to eat a cicada. Oh, you can tell if they have an app. No, you don't know. Maybe they just
No,
fell.
you don't know. Yeah. No eating cicadas for you. The ultimate load. What if your dick fell off and you'd be replaced
My
with a
abdomen.
fungus? That would suck.
Yeah.
All right. This next one. Oh, so this was from the Atlantic. Can I do it without the intermediary thing?
No, unless you have an
No.
Atlantic subscription. Did you open it already and read it?
I did already. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
then just see the beginning of it then.
Okay. So this is what Donald Trump fears most. This is by David Axelrod.
Who's David Axelrod?
He's a pretty famous conservative.
No. Who?
Wait, not conservative. Who was I thinking of?
Uh,
David Axelrod was part of the Obama administration, right?
Yes, he was a political consultant and campaign manager of politicians out of Chicago, leading ultimately to
Right.
Obama. Yeah.
I was thinking of the guy who was on the Neil Lehrer News Hour. I can't think of his name right now. Anyways, so this article is essentially about what he purports. This article is that Trump grew up. His father taught him that there were losers and there were killers, essentially, and so only suckers lose, right? And so he sort of lived his life that way. I mean, gotten him all the way to the presidency. Just sort of
I live
saying
my life a quarter mile at a time.
Right, exactly. Just like Vin Diesel. And so at this point, when he's sitting in the courtroom, which he's required to do in the hush money case, he has to be there. He has no control over what happens in that room. He has no power there, and he's just forced to sit there and watch the proceedings happen.
What if he has to make potty?
I suppose they have a
bathroom break or
I
a
suppose they have
latrine?
bathroom breaks for that.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he's saying, look, he might actually have to face some consequences, and he knows it. And he says you can sort of see it in his face as he's sitting there at the trial. So I mean, this is the first. Honestly, this is maybe the first time in his life he's ever had to face actual consequences for actions.
And it sucks that all the other ones are getting whittled away so much because this one is the weakest argument. Do you honestly think that there's any way they convict him in New York? I am persuaded by the people that say, oddly enough, none of this is a crime.
Yeah. I think it's pretty.
I'm also persuaded by the people that say, no, here's why it is. But the fact that you've got 12 people making it up and one person that just has to think one way, I can't imagine 12 people agreeing on this.
Yeah, the fact that only one juror would have to say, no, I don't agree.
And if they get a rural juror on there,
it's a very high bar to clear.
Somebody hasn't watched 30 Rock.
A rural juror.
Oh, it's fun to say.
Indeed.
We both said it just fine, actually.
We did.
It's like Arnold Paul. Fuck. Arnold Paul. This is hard because I've had a beer and a half. Arnold.
Sure. Blame it on that. All right. Should we get into media?
Yeah. Oh, Natasha likes it when I say shut up, Alan. Yeah. What have you been watching?
I started Fallout. I like it.
Good.
It's good.
How far into it are you?
I only got through the first episode.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I had high hopes for the rest of the season, but I wasn't like not sold on it, but I was like, you haven't got the full tone and you don't know.
Right. I haven't got.
You don't know yet how, and I did kind of spoil the fact that all of the storylines eventually intermesh enough by the end of the first season that you're like, okay, you're not just doing game 1, game 2, game
right.
Yeah.
Right.
The whole universe is told.
I'm excited to complete the series, but overall, yeah, I think they did a pretty good job.
Did you notice that thing about the army, the people in the Brotherhood? That was, I think, the wokeism in the casting. Did you notice it, or was it not noticeable?
I don't think I noticed that.
No. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes, and I like the way they're dealing with the storylines currently. So yeah,
good. And you played most of the games?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you play New Vegas?
No, I didn't play New Vegas.
That's controversial.
I've heard that. I've seen memes about it.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand them, but yes.
Apparently, that's the only real one.
Oh, really? Okay.
No,
the rest exist in some sort of.
No, I think that's a dividing line in the culture war somehow.
Understood. Okay, understood. I didn't get to finish that Zizek film yet, so I'm going to reserve judgment on it. But
Did you
I should
start it
have
before the last
I
episode?
did start it.
Okay.
Yeah, I did
Do you
start
want
it.
to send it to me? Should I watch it? How long is it? Where is it?
It's like an hour and 20 or something. It's long.
Where do I watch this?
YouTube. So when I finish it, I will. If I think it's worth it, I'll send it to you. Which I'll finish it probably this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
I watched. We've been wanting to watch Three Body Problem, but I feel like I can tell that's going to be a big thing. So I kind of wanted to hold off on it.
Okay. Maybe binge it, or
well, because I know I'm going to binge it.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's going to be over, and then we'll wait at least a year till another season.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And like it like I can tell just like looking at how it is in the culture that it's going to be, especially when you see producers from Game of Thrones in on it. You're like, well, you're either going to have a bunch of Starbucks cups in it because that's their favorite thing to do, or this is going to be an epic series. And so I've been holding off on the Three Body Problem. And Natasha's like, well, do you want to watch that or this one that I keep hearing my friends talk about called Baby Reindeer? I'm like, fine, let's just press the button. We'll start Baby Reindeer. Almost like ripping a Band-Aid off. Like, no, we'll do that before we debate about this anymore. Because otherwise you spend an hour looking for a show.
Right.
And you're like, I guess we'll just watch Friends and fall asleep. Oh my God, we're at the last season and a half of Friends and it's so fucking bad. All the jokes are so bad. They're just bad puns and they're unreasonable situations. And it's just, how can we get everybody to be dating before this is over?
Right.
God, so
I don't think I watched that last season or two.
I've noticed. I don't think I watched the last 4 seasons.
Yeah.
But then there's things where I was like, oh, I knew this happened because it was probably on a magazine cover.
Well, yeah, it was culturally Friends when it was on.
Oh my God, Jennifer Aniston has a new haircut.
It was the biggest thing ever. Yeah.
I said Aniston. I can't not say Jennifer Aniston. Okay, so we watched Baby Reindeer. Baby Reindeer is about opening scene. This woman walks into a bar where this Scottish guy works, and it's in the UK. I don't know where it is. I forget. No, it's in London. And this woman walks into the bar, and he starts off saying, like, I can't believe I felt sorry for her. And it's about a stalker.
Okay.
And it's about, God, it's hard to say what it's about without ruining it.
Where is this?
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
Look, ultimately, I recommend this, but this shit's fucking heavy. And like, either
is it a movie or a series?
Episode 4 or 5, I want to say 4. It really crosses a line, and you're like, okay, this is what we're dealing with. And I gotta say, just so it doesn't surprise. No, I don't want to surprise. Look, very obviously, this show is going to deal with sexual content, and it's dealt with in a way in that episode that it's heavy. Like going to sleep afterwards, you're like, God, I'm still thinking about that. You know?
Okay.
And the way people are taken advantage of and keep it to themselves. And then you watch it in a way you're like, well, this is the way that maybe everyone has or does, or enough people that you should just kind of assume everybody kind of has these things. But not only that, like how one can put themselves in a position too, right? But it starts off with this woman that comes into the bar who they portray her right away as, I didn't know it, but she was crazy, and how she was crazy. And how, like one of the first gags they make is she emails him nonstop, and she finishes her emails with "sent from my iPhone." But when he met her, she had a flip phone, like a track phone or something. And you're just like, what the fuck? Like, you don't have an iPhone. Why are you typing "sent from my iPhone" on your phone? You know,
weird.
Your emails. Yeah, just weird shit. Like,
look, okay.
I'm not going to say like it pays off by the end. So if that makes you really uncomfortable, pass. But it's really well told. It's well written. It's a true story.
Oh, okay.
You're going to be mad at the main character, but sympathize him, if that makes sense. Even at the end, I think you're going to be like, I can't fucking believe you. Like, but it's his story, and it deals with sexuality, and it's very interesting. I recommend Baby Reindeer, but not for any of you immature, none taken listeners. I can't.
I never would have guessed by the name of it that it was that deep of a show. I had no idea.
Yeah. Oh,
that
yeah.
part
It's
as
not a
well.
kids show. Yeah, Baby
Okay.
Reindeer is
Yeah.
probably misleading with the title, and it's a
Yeah.
cartoon. Did I tell you that?
Wait, are you
I'm joking.
serious?
No.
I was gonna say, what? It's animated? What the fuck?
And then we watched the first episode of the 3-Body Problem, and I was like, "Well, yep, I want to watch another episode, but I'm not gonna because I need to make this last." Very good.
That opening scene, man.
Yeah, but it was spoiled for me. Like I knew. Well,
Yeah.
you're right because I didn't know like word for word actual story arc of that opening scene.
Right.
But I knew that I was expecting a lot from the opening scene. I didn't ruin it for Natasha. And to sort of watch that and be like, oh, well, okay, so this isn't all going to take place in 66. So you kind of pay attention to names. I think they have like a big reveal that I didn't think was very revealing. Although there's one thing about how like the Communist Party, the women had short hair and you know, they all look the same, Alan.
Right.
What? You just said right. I was tricking you. I don't really think that way. Get him. Wow. God, some of them have like pushed up faces. Some of them have like narrow faces. It's different, Alan. What the fuck's wrong with you? You're not supposed to say pushed up faces, huh?
I don't think so.
I think Koreans get mad at that.
Oh, geez.
I think they definitely used to. I don't think people say that anymore, so I might actually get away with it. They also took the word up out of it. Well, let me rephrase that. My best friend's dad growing up, when he would talk about the Korean War, he didn't say pushed up faces.
I'm sure he didn't.
Okay. Am I okay?
I think you're fine.
Okay. Yeah, anyways, so there was like 2 female characters in the first scene, and later on that one of the people had long hair, she had short hair, and I was like, no, it's the first one with the short hair. And Natasha had to tell me I was wrong. It was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's very good. I think I watched it in 2 days. So
yeah, I think you told me you binged it. Yeah, I'm afraid to. So like I'm trying to just make it last.
Take it easy. Yeah.
Take it easy. Yeah, patience, right? Patience. Okay, well, do you want to move into our game of the week?
Let's.
Throw your hands up, take your shirt off, twist it around your head like a helicopter, just like Petey Pablo taught us.
Exactly.
So it's our newest game submitted by Young Thrash Lad. It is called Wacky, as in made up, or Kakalaki, as in real stories of North Carolina. So I've unhighlighted or I've unblocked the first one for you to read. I do know the answer to the first one, so I'm not completely unbiased on these.
Okay. In 1961, a U.S. Air Force B-52
sign says, "Stay away, fools, cause love rules at the love shack." That B-52?
Exactly, sir.
Okay.
Stratofortress?
Yeah.
Broke up over Goldsboro, North Carolina, dropping 2 3.8 megaton nuclear bombs, one of which was one safety switch away from detonation, and the other of which buried itself more than 150 feet in a cornfield, where the plutonium core remains to this day.
So you're gonna find the one false in these 3.
Okay.
All right. Next one here. I like how you're reserving your answer. You don't want to get stuck to it.
No,
right?
no.
Yeah.
Blackbeard was killed on the inner coast of Ocracoke Island, North
Ocracoke.
Carolina, in 1718.
It's consonant vowel. It's easy.
Yeah, where his ship had run aground while trying to find safe harbor. His killing by a task force sent by the governor of Virginia caused a major diplomatic incident between the 2 governments, as he'd bribed North Carolina Governor Charles Eden with a literal shipload of gold for a pardon.
So 1718, we're talking about a loose confederacy of states here.
Right. Okay.
Wait.
No, not even.
Colonies.
Yeah,
Paid
colonies.
attention in school.
The largest residential home in the United States, the Biltmore, was built by George Vanderbilt II in Asheville, North Carolina, between 1889 and 1895, and consisted of 100,000 square feet of an estate of 50,000 acres. And that would be what's his name? The CNN guy.
Anderson Cooper.
Anderson Cooper, yeah, that's his great grandfather.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's true.
Yeah, that one seems true. Yeah, that's very specific too.
Yeah,
he'd lie about the dates. He wouldn't do that. That's too sneaky.
Yeah, that's too sneaky. I also think somewhere in the back of my head, I've heard about
B-52.
the whole B-52 thing.
Yeah.
I would find it surprising that the plutonium core is still there. They wouldn't just
pull it out.
Yeah. But I'm gonna say
I feel like I know the story about that being like pinned off, right? Like they put up a perimeter and like nobody's been allowed in there.
Oh, for like 80 years.
Yeah.
60 something years. I'm gonna say the Blackbeard one is the wacky.
The wacky?
Yeah.
Okay, let's reveal. So I know the first one's true. So you were right to say that that's true.
Okay.
And let's go down here. What's true
Was
here?
the Biltmore one true?
Well, we'll see. There's a long answer there.
Okay.
So it's either a correction.
Oh, Blackbeard was okay. So I got one right, one wrong. Okay.
Wow. So all of that's true. 1718 Okoroki Island.
Blackbeard tried to
A ship. He bribed him with a shipload of gold. Man, you could have done it. It's just a couple colonies. What's the point of being on the other side of the world if you don't have
right?
Right?
Right.
Imagine what he'd do with a shipload of gold as the governor of North Carolina.
In 1718, yeah.
Jesus.
all the
Man, you
wishes.
live like a Spaniard, right? Living like a Spaniard.
Show title.
Yeah. I gotta write it down. Well, that doesn't. I'm gonna ask you what that scribble means, okay?
Okay.
The largest residential home in the United States, which means the wacky is the Biltmore. Oh, kind of true, kind of false. It's actually 170,000 square feet and was originally 125. So it's even
bigger.
You tricked us with technicalities.
God damn it, Thrash.
Oh, you know what? So you said false. You called it. I don't like giving you credit, but when due. Very happy for you, Alan.
All right, that was a good game. That was fun.
That was fun.
Thanks, Thrash.
Yeah, thanks, Thrash. Give us another one. And listeners, if you got an idea for a game, send it on in on our Instagram or message Alan at nonetakenpod.com. What's your email?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wait, you
awesome.
want to put the game on me? Have him send them to Alan at ALLAN at
nonetakenpod.com.
Okay. ALLAN at nonetakenpod.com.
And then
Bug Alan with this stuff, all right? This is his show anyways. Give him the quiz.
Then I can have Dustin play a game.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Yeah.
All right. I'm a shitty moderator or game show host. I'm always like, which one is it? One true and two false? I don't know. Do you ask you a question that's been bugging me for a while?
Yeah.
Like every time I see one of these on the road, it's not a Nissan Altima reference.
Okay.
Do you think is there any more of a dated vehicle? Mostly because it's so different than anything else, too. Is there any more dated vehicle than a yellow Hummer H2?
Oh wow. Yeah, I think you're right about that. It feels very 2006
or earlier, right?
But
like there's got to be an easier way to tell people I loved playing the 1994 arcade game Cruising USA. You remember that game?
Yes, I do.
Oh, that was the coolest game there was at the time.
You change the soundtrack.
Yeah, that was better than the motorcycle that would tilt.
Yeah.
We sound like kids with they'd have a stick and a hoop, and oh boy.
Yeah, that specific color too, though. You
the yellow H2,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, man. I'll talk to you in a couple of days. This has been real.
Cheers. That was fun.